Hey guys, it's WooGs here. Doing another video. This is one that was requested from Kale, which was basically Venom sent without using a weapon, but also not casting anything. So only using one shadow and making the shadow do all the damage. Um, I am going to use Blade Shield as my only form, and I'm trying to try not to attack with it. It's purely for the bone prisons. Otherwise it'd be too hard with the shadow to do that. So what I'm going to do here is just literally cast the shadow and then try to dodge and let the shadow do all the damage. You see here the shadow does great damage. I guess I can talk about that. So your shadow, the skill level, damage of your skill level, I'll try to link something in the chat. But essentially for this build, the main part is skill level doesn't really matter because the shadow uses your level of venom for Blade Sentinel. So Shadow doesn't actually have to cast Venom itself. It'll just get whatever level Venom and Mastery your Venom has. It's because it's a minion of a minion, all this kind of nonsense. But um, that's quite useful because all you have to do is have Blade Sentinel on one side, and then the Shadow will instantly cast or relatively cast the Blade Sentinel and automatically get your poison damage. You can see that right away by every attack is well, one, doing crazy damage, but two, poisoning. So as long as you have Venom cast on yourself, your shadows will also have that Venom for their Blade Sentinel. So that's the idea behind this build. Obviously, this is, if you wanted to do this for real, this is not how you would do it. You would get, like you'd use a Whispering Mirage. You could use the same gear I have in Whispering Mirage. You could use two Whispering Mirages. You could use one in a nice damage claw on the other side. Like there's a lot of different scenarios you can do. But this was kind of just for fun, just to showcase how strong it really is. And definitely is too strong, in my opinion. Even though these bosses are bugged, it's crazy damage. Um, but, because obviously, you know, you could attack yourself, you could be casting 2 or 3 shadows instead of just one, so there's a lot of ways to do this that are infinitely better than what I have. And my gear's kind of just thrown together from the D-web. I just literally took off the D-web and didn't respec if you watched that last video. Um, so this phase is probably, I was worried it was going to be the hardest, and it kind of was, like having to dodge those spires, because the spires can splash off of your shadow and kill you, which is pretty frustrating. These phases are also annoying because you have to wait for your shadow to kill stuff. So that's why I went in with lots of pots, so I can kind of just collect the few that I need and then just like get to the end real quick, because I didn't want to have to deal with slowly farming this area. You know, I just hate farming this area to begin with. So once I have enough, I'm pretty much just going to get out of here, which you see here. Now when you Dragonflight this stuff, you will get a little bit of your Venom damage, so I do technically do a little bit of damage, I guess, when I Dragonflight sometimes, but I kind of have to reposition these stupid shadows because they decide to not attack quite often. But it's just part of the game, I guess. So here we just get our buffs on, summon our shadow, and this one's a really dumb one. Sometimes you get dumb ones, and they don't do anything. And that was one of them. So you kind of just want to do that. There we go. So now we got a smart one. This one knows how to boss. This one seems to also know how to boss. You see here, we kill really quickly. It's just the Void Knights are really annoying because they like to run away, and your shadow likes to like kick and do other stuff besides the only skill you have equipped. And sometimes it likes to run away, but once in a while it does what it's supposed to. So you see here we try to like reposition with our kicks, hope that we get the Sentinel off like that. That was a good shadow. That one knew what it was doing. I like that one. Sad when it dies. But that's all we do is just kind of reposition ourselves. And you can imagine if you had like 3 shadows here, like how devastating that would be. Like, there's not that much damage in this fight, and you could definitely keep up 2 or 3 shadows at all times and take very little damage yourself, and you would clear these phases really quickly. So it's definitely a legit way to do it. Obviously, it's still going to be better to just cast Blade Sentinel yourself, at least as well. There's no reason to stand still doing nothing, but if you just want to have the fun of the shadows doing all the work, then yeah, do it up. You actually don't need a crazy high shadow level either. Like, I didn't respect max shadow because technically it would only increase the Blade Sentinel damage, not the Venom damage, and to give it a little bit of life, which isn't too interesting. But it's something, I suppose. But if you had like a big claw, like you had like your crazy, or even like a good ethereal, like Whispering Mirage as your main claw, then yeah, maybe max. Why not, right? If you're gonna do that build, but you don't really need to. So you saw how easy that phase was. You're not really gonna die in that phase. The third phase obviously is there's just a lot of damage there, so it's kind of sketchy. And you can't. And the Void Knights could be very long, I imagine. So if you don't get a good position on them, so it's got a little bit RNG on that. I still think you can just get through it as long as with good positioning. You just gotta kind of watch out and be a little careful. You can see there, like sometimes it decides to just like smack things as opposed to casting. It'd be amazing if they didn't punch or kick and stuff. They just literally threw their sentinel, but that's a bit hard. So we take what we can get. Here we're just kind of clearing out these guys just to be extra safe, checking our pots, we're good to go. I don't know how hard this one's going to be, so I kind of wanted to go in fully because I imagine it could get dragged out pretty long, so I just wanted to be a little bit careful. So get our buffs up, throw our shadow, and we're going to get to this side. You can see here, sometimes this happens, the bosses are a little bit bugged there at the moment, but it gives us time to get our sentinels spawning. And then what we're going to try to do is just kind of try to dodge damage. You see how fast that first one came out. And then Rathma's, Mendel and Rathma are phasing at the same time, so we're just going to, it's a bit chaotic here, so we're just going to try to keep our shadow up and keep our rejuves full. It's hard to stay close to Mendel because you want these knights down because it's really annoying. So you're kind of moving around because your shadow will just come back to you all the time. And you want these Conjuring Souls dead. Being stuck in cages isn't too fun. So we kind of just waited that one out a little bit there just because we were getting knocked back like crazy on the cold wave. We don't have much cold res, so it's a bit scary, that part. We're doing pretty good on pots here, but this is not the best spot for them to be because your shadow's not really going to do much there. But now we're at the third Mendel phase, and we know we've done one Rathma phase, so we have to be a little bit careful that Rathma's probably going to end up phasing here, or at least shortly after. We got the Mendel out phase out, which is great. And then there's the Rathma one. So ideally we get these Void Knights down as quick as possible, or try to just damage Rathma. You see the Void Knights died really quickly there. There's a good Sentinel damage by our Shadow, and now we just have the two bosses. Best case scenario, we get to phase Mendel, so we can kill him before Rathma does his next phase, but it's pretty unlikely that the Shadow decides to cast where you want it to cast, so I would just try to damage any boss at this point. Double sludge there in the corner. At that point, just start damaging Rathma. It's sometimes the bosses are not going to cooperate, especially when you're dealing with these shadows. So this would be ideal if the shadow just went crazy on Mendel here and finished him off, but we got really close, but the shadow ended up dying. But we've done, this is the last phase of Rathma, and we've done all the phases of Mendel, so we're in a pretty good spot if our warrior decides to actually kill off some of these knights. I'm a little bit trying to get them close to Mendel just to finish Mendel off because he's got the sludge and all the annoying cold waves, so him dying would just be nice. There we go. Yeah, I just wanted to get rid of those Conjuring Souls, just the extra random damage is just nice to not have down. And there's just one knight left in the corner there, which ends up dying from poison damage. And now we can just spawn our warriors to finish off the fight, because there's not really a chance of dying at this point, just with Rathma's bug damage. He doesn't really do that much, so as long as you know, don't take 2 or 3 spears back to back, you're pretty much fine. And there you go. And then that's how that looks. We can go through our skills here a little bit. It's pretty much the same as the last video. You see here, level 51 Venom. Oh, I took off one of the rings to put on a second natures just because I thought the cold spires would be annoying. But these Indarials, just some kind of random gear on some of these spots, just to get some max poison, as you see here, and 175 PLR. Not crazy, low on cold and everything else, but just focusing on my poison damage for Venom. You see here, that's the looks like with the snapshot on. Just going through my skills there. So yeah, it's just kind of a meme kill, but it was kind of fun to do. So hope you guys enjoyed that. Catch you on the next one. Cheers.